Welcome to Manifest 360, the podcast where science-based manifesting techniques meet personal growth, mindset mastery, and intentional living. I'm Bob, that's Vipin, and today we're diving into one of the most talked about concepts in personal development, the law of attraction. Is it really possible to attract opportunities, relationships, successes, and abundance into your life through your thoughts and emotions, or is there something deeper happening beneath the surface? Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or simply curious, this conversation is designed to help you better the understanding of your mindset and how it influences your reality. Vipin, good morning.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning. And yeah, what a great topic today, huh?
Yeah, so for the people that don't know, what is the law of attraction?
The law of attraction is basically, in a scientific way, your retinal activation system. So basically, you start to notice things in life and you start to manifest things that you think about. So they could be good and bad. Let's talk about briefly. I used to use this example of I own a silver car. And as I drive down the street, I look at all the silver cars. And if I see a car of my make and model, I notice not only the car, I notice people inside the car. I'm always looking in to see who those are. Other kind of cars, I don't really care about, right? So we notice what's kind of in our preview, whatever you want to call it. And so it could be as simple as noticing things that are in our mind. It could be as simple as parking karma. I've talked to you about that before. I have really good parking karma, and people are shocked that I'm able to find parking spots. When they're with me in the car, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this again. You found a parking spot in Costco right in front of the front door. Or you're going to this dinner at this amazing downtown area, and you're able to find a parking spot right in front of the restaurant. And so I'm able to find good parking karma because I look for it and I expect it. And so that's at the very basic level. Now, the law of attraction basically says is you attract what you think about, what you feel, and what your emotional frequency is calibrating at. Now, that's a loaded word, frequency calibrating at. So if you're at a high emotional excitement level, you're going to attract more excitement. If you're in a depressed, negative mindset, you're going to find things that are faulty in the universe, faulty in your day, and you're going to find things that you don't want. They may be saying, gosh, I'm running late, so I'm going to run into traffic. The next thing you know, you're running into traffic. Or you could be saying, I'm going to make it there and find a way, and all of a sudden the path clears up, depending on your mindset. So these are the simple ways to think about. But at an uber level, the law of attraction really is, what is it that you ask for? What is it that you believe that you will get, and what is it that you're worthy of in your mindset of receiving? So there's three things to kind of break it down to is, what are you asking for, the universe for? You will get what you ask for in a positive way or a negative way. So think about that very carefully. And then what do you believe you're going to get? And then the last one is, are you willing to receive it from, are you worthy of receiving it? Do you believe with charged feelings and emotions that you're going to get what you want? And that's where a lot of people struggle with. And that's where I think it takes a little bit longer to get what you want. You end up getting most of what you want in life. Most people do. Things usually work out. But to be able to manifest something special, something that's abnormal, a high level, it takes a little bit longer than just a simple goal of finding a nice car parking spot.
Do you believe that that like attracts like? You know what I mean? So if you're like you mentioned, if you're having a bad mood and you're I'm going to be late and you end up running into traffic, and I find this even with people that if I'm in a great mood and I want to have a great day, it seems like the people that will help me to make my day better end up being there in my life. And if I'm just having one of these crap ass days where I'm just like, this just sucks and I'm mad about everything, and I seem to run into the people that are they're gonna trigger me even more than a normal day. So I find that like attracts like. So if I'm in a great mood, great, and it's going to attract greatness. And if I'm in a crap mood, then I'm going to attract crapness.
Exactly. And that's exactly at the basic level. The law of attraction. Maybe you've heard of a movie called The Secret. It came out, I think, in the early mid 2000s. Have you heard about that movie?
I did, but I
Okay.
don't remember seeing it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, yeah. And basically, what the secret is, the law of the universe is likeness attracts likeness. It's the law of attraction. So you are what you think about. You
Mhm.
are what you conceive in your thoughts. You are what you believe. And, people do get trapped by negative thoughts and negative situations, but powerful thoughts, the positive ones, tend to be a little bit more powerful, tend to be like 10 times to 20 times more powerful than negative thoughts. So if you replace your
Mhm.
negative thoughts with positive thoughts, you tend to have a better outcome. And so you tend to be in a better mood. So just people get caught up in temporary negative thoughts, and that's okay to have negative thoughts. We're human. But I think it's important to realize that once you replace a negative thought with a positive one, you're 10 to 20 times more likely to get what you want out of the
Mhm.
situation than you are if you just stick with the negative thought and thinking you're just only going to attract negative stuff. You can turn your day around. I'm sure you've had examples in your life when you were had a really bad day, but you're like, I'm gonna turn this day around. And next thing you know, it
I'm
does
gonna
turn
crush
around.
this day. This is gonna be the best day ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I honestly, I try to do that every day before I go to work. I used to read at church, and I used to, I used to tell myself as I was heading to church, I'm like, I'm not gonna mess up. I'm gonna do the best job ever. And I've been trying to do that self talk thing almost my entire life. Sometimes it works, great. Other times it's just like, hmm.
Yeah. 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 I wonder why it doesn't work, or when you say, like, what blocks you there?
I think it's myself. I think honestly, I'm my biggest block. I am my worst critic. I'm the yeah, I the things that I fail at are things that I cause myself to fail at.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not, but
I think
when
it
I
makes sense to everybody.
it,
I think everybody ma it's
it,
everybody.
yeah, and it's unfortunate because I a great example is like doing the intro to the show. I practice it 5 or 6 times before we hop on, and almost every week I mess up a couple of times, and I think it's because I'm like, oh, I'm doing a great job. It's in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm crushing this, and then I'm like, damn it. I just said I saw the wrong word, or I said the wrong word, or something. And a lot of times it's just maybe getting overconfident in something, or thinking that I'm going to crush this. And then, no, 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 Bob, you're not going to crush this. You're just going to be adequate at it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't wanna I think we tend to be our biggest critic, like you said, right? So I think we
Hmm.
tend to look at it nobody else notices. People may notice one little thing, but you're making a big molehill. You're turning a big,
Mountain out of a molehill.
mountain out of a molehill, and it's not that big of a deal, but you're noticing it because you care so much about it. You're
Yeah.
looking at every single word choice and every single sequence of words that you use in the phrases, but nobody
Uh-huh.
else really cares. People are too busy going on with their lives to notice what's going on with us. And it reminds me of an example of I was back in Minnesota. This is something I did not plan on talking about, but it's interesting. I had paid this guy to design these posters and then these tabletops, kind of like menus, but they would sit on the tabletops. And there
Hmm.
was a little tiny line that was off center. And he noticed it and he made the printers reprint the whole thing. And I'm like, an average person wouldn't even notice it. But because the guy was such a perfectionist, he noticed it and he made the printers print the whole thing over again. I'm still looking at it going, what a waste. Such a
Hmm.
perfectionist thing to be able to do that with. And so I think how many times in life do we waste our time and resources by looking for that perfect thing where just a good enough thought, just a good positive attitude, we don't have to have a perfect day. We can just have a pretty darn good day and we be okay with it. And why waste that energy on, and why do we get so critical on something minor and make a mountain out of a molehill? And that's kind of exactly what this guy did. And I look at that and I go, what a time waste of resources and a whole day wasted of reprinting everything and the resources that went into that. And so
Hmm.
it's a small example of how in life we look for perfection. And because of that perfection or the lack of, we tend to get frustrated.
I don't think we can ever really find true perfection. Take for example, like when you first start when you first start something, you're like, oh, this is the best job ever, this is the best relationship ever, this is the best X, Y, and Z ever. And then as you start into it and you realize that, and you start getting used to that being good and used to it being whatever, and then pretty soon you're like, well, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something better. Maybe and I think we're always chasing for that quote unquote perfection, but never finding it. And I think that people that are happier are the people that are, stop, look at it and say, like you just said, it's pretty damn close, pretty close to perfection. Nothing is ever perfection. Nothing is ever perfect, I don't think.
Nothing ever is, but I think accepting what is, being grateful for. I hate to bring this up, but so I watched The Secret last night. I have it on Amazon Prime. I think I bought it years ago and I still have it on Amazon. One of the cool things about Amazon is if you buy a movie, you tend to have it for the record as long as you have your Amazon subscription. And so I
As long
watched
as you
it
pay
twice
$190 a year.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have Amazon or you don't have it anymore?
Yeah. Oh, of course. I think most Americans have it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think like 150 million people or whatever have it. And there's so many benefits of it, but the Amazon Prime Video, the app it's got great movies, it's got great stuff on it. But the coolest thing about for me was to be able to watch this movie, and it talked about this thing that I hadn't even thought about, and something that you and I have talked about forever. So we are a result of our thoughts. We've talked about that many times. And last
Mhm.
week when we talked about emotional management and emotional flow, you brought up this really cool thing about feeling your emotions, processing them, and then releasing them, right? And when you release the negative emotions or release even the positive ones, you tend to have more peace. You tend to move on, letting go of what was yesterday, what was the situation, and kind of think about what you want in the future. And so,
Mhm.
in that thought process, releasing and letting go to the higher power, the higher source, whatever you want to call it, one of the best things to look at for me is gratitude. And gratitude is something that they brought up in The Secret as well. People think, even the guys who don't want success, people that just want peace and serenity, often talk about gratitude, right? They're like, just have
Mhm.
gratitude and you'll be just fine. But one of the keys to the universe, one of the keys to getting what you want is having gratitude. It's okay to want more, but you have to start where you're at. And starting where you're at, being grateful for what you have, releases these emotions, releases this chemical um, activation in your brain that makes you happy. And that gratitude, the attitude of gratitude, really releases a whole different synchronistic ways of things. People who tend to be grateful for stuff tend to be happier.
What was that word that you just said? Synchronistic? What was that?
Synchronistic? Was
Oh,
that, did I say?
synchronous. Okay, I thought you said. I'm like, I don't think I know what that word means, but I know what that word.
Yeah, synchronistic.
Syncing
So
things together.
yeah,
Yeah.
bringing things together, like synchronizing, right? It's like synchronized
Right.
swimming or whatever, right? People that tend to do things together. So it's, to me, everything that we talk about comes down to basic principles, right? It's thoughts, it's beliefs, it's emotional management, it's gratitude, it's focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want. So the law of attraction really gets activated when you focus on what you want in your life. Every time you focus on something that you don't want, you tend to get that as well. So focusing on something that you want is going to give you, every time you go in a situation, focus on what you want. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so do you think when you focus on opportunities and things like that, do you actually create them, or do you simply just notice the things that are already going on in your life?
I think, that's a tricky question. Do you create them or do you notice them? I think awareness is part of noticing them and then creating them. So part of creation is just being aware,
Hmm.
and part of this thing, like I talk about my mantra, right? I attract people, places, and opportunities that serve my purpose. You've heard me mention that quite a bit. I attract
Hmm.
people, places, and opportunities that serve my purpose of helping millions of people. Because I think about that, because I tune my mind into that, I'm constantly looking for situations. where I'm able to focus on the positive in my life. What can I do better today? What can I do better tomorrow? What can I read? What can I write down my goals? Yesterday was the first time in 6 months I revisited my goals for the year. And back in January and February, I was writing down my goals quite a bit. In December, I
And you were
wrote a whole
revisiting
series
them.
of goals.
You were revisiting your goals a lot back then. I'm surprised that it's been 6 months since you've looked at them. That's why I
Yeah,
had that shocked look on my
yeah.
face and needed to interrupt here because for a long time we talked about you were doing that, emailing them to yourself in the morning, at night, looking at them in the morning and whatnot. So what caused you to stop doing that? Just because you were on that right track?
So actually, no, I actually still email myself those three things. I
Uh-huh.
didn't do it last night, but I did it the night before. I email myself these three things, right? Things that I'm proud of,
Mhm.
things that I'm grateful for, and things that I can improve upon. But goals are different. Back in December, January, and February, I was revisiting my goals, and I think I told you I took my goals and I made them like 4x or 2.5 to 3x bigger
Mhm.
because of
I do
certain
remember
things that
that.
were happening. And I made these goals bigger because somebody told me to read a powerful book, and one of the small things in this powerful book was make sure that you make your dreams and your goals audacious, bigger than you thought you could make them. And even yesterday, I added some language to my goals that I made them even bigger than when I did back in February and March. And so it's good to revisit your goals. It's good to write them down on paper. I just use a simple notes app on my phone and I write them out. But I think it's really important to remind yourself of what is it that you want and then why do you want it. For me, it's about freedom to be able to do what I want with my life, freedom to be able to have the time, freedom to be able to go travel, freedom to be able to eat wherever I want to eat, stay wherever I want to be. Like I'm planning these trips, right? I'm planning a trip to Scandinavia, where I can take
Oh,
a
fun.
2 week cruise through Norway. I'm planning on a trip to Thailand, and I'm planning these things in my head. I haven't actually bought the tickets yet, but I'm thinking about these trips to Machu Picchu, where I'm going to go hiking and go up to the mountaintop and figure out a way to get to Peru, and then I'm talking about Greece and spending a week in Greece and going to the islands and all of this stuff, right? These are things
Mhm.
that I've kind of imagined myself doing. And so as I focus on those kind of possibilities, my daily problems of what I could trap myself into, my work stress, my health stress, or whatever. Like, for example, if I wanted to focus on it today, I got up and my knee hurt, my left knee hurt. And I struggled to walk down the hallway in my house at 10 to 7. And I said to Jill, I said, "Hey, I need to find a brace." She's like, "I don't know where there's a brace." Next thing you
Uh-huh.
know, I only looked in one drawer and I found a brace. And there's in that one drawer, there was this brace sitting there. I put on the brace. I went to the gym. I saw some friends at the gym that are pretty good friends. My mentor, John, was there. And
Mhm.
they were like, "Hey, Vipin, there's this guy, Andrew." And he's like, "Hey, Vipin, when are you going to lift weights? Maybe today's the day to lift weights." I don't lift weights. I do cardio every single day for about an hour. Well, guess what I did
Mhm.
today? I lifted weights for
Lifted some
30 minutes.
weights.
I lifted some weights
I
for
was gonna
30
say
minutes.
you look more buff today, my friend.
No, I don't think so. I think it was lightweight. It was lightweight, but the point being is I did something different today. So instead of
Uh-huh.
focusing on a problem with my knee, I focused on the strength, upper body strength work that I did. And I still walked. I loosened up my knee and I had a brace on and I still walked for 34 minutes after. But the point being is I actually went in and I had a great workout by focusing on the positive. But yesterday, I tried to imagine all of those trips. I thought about the new version of the car that I have that I want to get. I thought about a car that I want my wife to have. And so I was thinking about all these things to create. Like you said, they were in my awareness, but I'm creating these things of what I want rather than focusing on things that I don't want. So to me,
So
that
you're
creates
cleaning the bag basically getting rid of the baggage that's in your head.
Exactly. By focusing on what
Right.
you want. So the more you focus on what you want, you get rid of the baggage in your head. That's pretty much, we can sum up the podcast today by saying focusing on what you want, you get rid of the baggage in your head. And that's pretty much it.
I just give you the simple. I give you the simple look at it. You know.
Yeah. No, but it's, these are complex things. And people always ask, like, how do I change my subconscious? How do I reprogram my brain? How do I reprogram my thoughts? Keep repeating what you want. Keep repeating a mantra. Like we start out with the base mantra, I'm calm, centered, and loving. If you just stick with that for a while, and then you go to, I attract people, places, and opportunity to serve my purpose. Now, hopefully you know your purpose. Hopefully you've gone through and done some work on it. Whatever your purpose is to
Mhm.
share with the world, your joy, your passion, make the world a better place. For me, it's all about this podcast, the book, and yeah, it's just focusing on what you want is the simplest way to get the law of attraction um, get started. Like you said, you create it by being aware of what's already in your life, what's already in your preview. Um, just trying to, in a way, you're naturally forcing yourself to think about what you want rather than just letting your thoughts kind of just suffer through them.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that you shouldn't process those emotions that you're having, somebody triggered you or whatever, but as quickly as you can, start to focus back on what it is that you want.
So what are the purpose of, or what is the role of emotions as when it comes to manifesting? Because I think that a lot of us are emotional people, and we might not show our emotions on our on our sleeve, but I think that we tend to run our lives by how we're feeling, and the emotional factor, the emotional piece, more so than the brain piece a lot of times.
Yeah. So, it's, you mentioned something right when you said, what is the role of emotions play in our manifestation?
Mhm.
What is the role of emotions in our law of attraction? And then you mentioned the word feelings. The
'Cause
more
we
charged,
did that a couple of weeks ago.
we did that last week. So you have those feelings, right? When you're feeling special, you're going to feel excitement. You're going to feel positive nature. You're going to feel joy. You're going to feel some level of excitement at some level. Um, Once you're in that excitement level, um, that's when you will more than likely attract more of what you want. The thing is not to get stuck on the how. One of the
I mean,
things that
how to achieve, or the
how to
how
how to achieve
okay.
so emotions play a huge role in feelings. In your feelings, you try to be ecstatic, be grateful, be positive, whatever those positive set of feelings are. There's a whole bunch of negative feelings as well: sad, hurt, grief, fear, all of those things too, right? So you try to get yourself on the spectrum on the left where you're excited, you're grateful, you're happy, you're joyous, whatever that is, you're compassionate, you're kind, you're free. All of those things will tend to create more for you of what you want rather than being in this ungrateful, sad, grief, hurt place. So for
Mhm.
me, what I find is I do get stuck in these hurt, sad, depressed type moments. Easiest way for me to get out of it is through my emotions by feeling, like you said, I feel my emotions. I'm not hiding from them. I process them and then I release them and then I start focusing on what I want. When you believe that you can get what you want, you get excited. The problem is oftentimes we don't believe we can get what we want. And because we think we have to know how to get what we want. And one of the things that they said in The Secret that stood with me yesterday was that if you did the research on all the people that achieved great things, rarely did they know how they were going to achieve them in the start. The path opens up as you go further. The guy in the movie yesterday used an example of going from Texas to New York. He said, you go into a car in the dark at night, you're driving, you can only see 200 feet ahead of you, but that's enough for you to drive your car at a regular speed to get there. as you get to that regular speed of 200 feet, the next 200 feet gets shown to you. So the law of the universe gives you just enough visibility to get to the next step and the next step after
Makes
that.
sense.
You don't have to know the whole path of how to get there. You don't have to have certainty. You have to have a little bit of faith and believe that you're going to get there. So the first is to ask, second is to believe, third is to receive. You can only receive if you feel worthy. We talked about self-worth equaling external worth, right? Once you start believing that you can get it, you'll feel ecstatic. You'll feel grateful. You'll ask for things. You will go down this path of whatever it is that you're going down this path of. And so for me, there's no better way for you to change your mindset than being grateful and then immediately focus on what is it that you want. You don't have to know how to get there. So law of attraction is focus on what you want. You will attract more of what you want by focusing on what you want.
Like begets like we talked about earlier. Have any closing thoughts about everything here, Vipin?
No, I think the movie, The Secret, if you get a chance to watch it, it's on Amazon. It's not on Netflix. It's really good with stories of a lot of great philosophers, quantum physics people. There's quote from Einstein's and all these great famous people, Joseph Campbell and others. The biggest thing that they talk about is universe has a menu of things that will provide to you. All you have to do is ask, believe you're going to get it, and receive it. And people always wonder, like, how am I going to get it? You don't have to know the how. You just have to believe, and the universe will make its way. And like we said a couple of weeks ago, the universe never misses. The sun rises every single day. The plants grow at the right pace. The flowers bloom every spring. The universe knows what it's doing. You just have to tap into that force with the law of attraction rather than stick on the sidelines and be focused on things that you don't want. So start to focus on things that you want, start believing that you are going to get it, and start receiving it. And those mantras help a lot, right? So the mantras help a lot. So the base one that we talk about is I'm calm, centered, and loving. And the second one today is I attract people, places, and opportunities that serve my purpose. You literally attract what you want, what you believe, what you ask for, what you receive.
If you look back to when I had a job, a career when I was in radio, and I remember going in and asking for a raise, and I think a lot of times when I went in there thinking they're not going to give me a raise, I didn't get a raise. And when I went in there thinking, you know what, I deserve a raise, I should get this one. And then you get one. And I don't know if it's because, I don't really, at the time, I didn't know anything about manifestation.
Yeah.
But at the time, I if I was negative about it, I think I felt like I was going to fail, and I did fail. And if I thought I was going to do well, I did adequate.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's a simple analogy. And I think two great athletes talk about it. One is Michael Jordan. You're going to miss all the shots that you don't take.
Wayne Gretzky, I think, said that.
Wayne Gretzky said that. Okay. Michael Jordan said something similar, but that's fine. Yeah. You're going to miss all the shots that you don't take.
Right.
Tiger Woods said, you're going to miss all the shots that you leave short. Think about it. 50% of your shots are going to be short or long, and the other 50% are going to be left or right.
Right.
You increase your chances by 50% by going for it. You might miss left or right, but you're not going to miss it short. So by going for it, by believing in it, you're halfway there. Those are pretty good odds. So I think in life, focus on what you want, and you just never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates. You might actually get way more than what you want. So that little Forrest Gump thing.
And that wraps up this episode of Manifest 360. If today's conversation sparks something in you, don't just think about it, apply it. Alignment isn't a vibe, it's a practice. Belief, emotion, strategy, and action, all moving in the same direction, that's where momentum lives. Be sure to follow, share with someone building something meaningful, and join us next week as we continue helping you manifest wealth and purpose. Manifest 360 is a podcastforhire.com production.